Well, it's snowing again here in Lynchburg, Virginia, and I had plans to go to the circuit court in Bedford today. I had to sign some papers, a wedding marriage certificate that I had failed to sign in the proper place. So that was my fault, my bad, and I feel really bad about it. But because we had snow on Friday, now we've got snow on Monday, I haven't been able to get down to the circuit court. So I'm hoping it clears up by tomorrow, and I'll be able to get down there and do that. And then the following Sunday, I'll be performing a wedding ceremony, and I'm nervous as hell about it because I've done it before, but never like in a real formal setting. And this is laid back and chill. These people are really great. I'm not going to mention their names only because I don't know if they want me to mention them on here, but I'm looking forward to it. But I'm nervous too because it's something I don't do on a regular basis. And talking today is something I don't do on a normal basis either, talking about death and the afterlife, if there is one. And I wanted to kind of get into that. And we're going to be doing a little bit of shifting on the channel, too. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be getting together with Josh Adilla. I had been on his show a few times. He's got a cryptid channel. And his channel is kind of shifted towards religion, and we're going to talk a little bit more about religion. I'm not going to get too far into that today, other than the obvious connotations that come along with talking about death and dying. So another thing we'll be doing real soon, I don't know when. I've been trying to get together with my friend Kyle. We're going to do maybe like 40 minutes in the morning on a Monday morning, probably around 5 in the morning. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just trying to figure out a good time and day to do it because the kids are still in school, so I have to drive people in the morning, so it's hard to fit it in there. So figure it out. I know you guys will be interested in seeing that if you're into watching things like this. Also, the next video I've got planned is another guitar video. We're going to talk about my Geycen SG. It's a faded edition, but it's a very cool, very different edition that you may not have seen before. And it's got some history that goes along with it, too. It kind of took the place of my Washburn A20V. If you haven't seen that video, it's really interesting. I talk about the guitar itself and some of the stories that come along with it. But for today, let's just get into it. I'm sorry to keep you guys waiting. I know I said we were going to say, what happens when you die? Well, I've been watching a lot of Last Meals with Josh Sharara. I can't pronounce his last name, from Good Mythical Kitchen. And one of the last questions that he asks all his guests is, what do you think happens when you die? And it's a question I have asked myself over and over again my whole life. When I was young, my dad, Manuel Alves Oliveira, was a Baptist minister at many, many churches. And I was taught, you believe in Jesus and you get to heaven, and if you don't, you're going to burn in the bowels of hell for all eternity. Which, just a little side note there, that's fucked up to tell a kid, and it messes up people for a very long time. So if you're watching this and you are a Christian, take it easy on your kids. You know what I mean? Let them make their decisions when they're old enough to make them. Don't force things on them that's going to scare them, and force them to believe things that you believe in that may or may not be true. I was in my late teens into my early 20s. I was still very active in the church. I was a junior high youth group leader, loving every moment of it. I was considering becoming a pastor. It just seemed like the right path for me. Like my dad was one, I'll be one. But something changed, something shifted in my ways of thinking. I got a lot of blowback from the church. You're talking about the early 90s here. And I was dyeing my hair weird colors, and all of a sudden, all these people that were kind and loving, like, there was this shift in them, like, what's going on with him? He must be of the devil or something. And it made me not want to be a part of the church. So I left the church probably, oh boy, it must have been around like 21, I'd say. And I never went back, and I never will go back, just because in my 30s, the reason I won't go back, I started searching, reading other things outside of the Bible. That's the funny thing is, you go to church, they say, you don't want to read other books. No, those are tainted. They're evil. But the thing is they're not. There's been 33,000 gods that we've worshipped since the beginning of man. So your book being the right one drives me crazy. It's just like, you're an atheist just like me. You just believe in one less God. the thing is in my 30s, I did come across a guy, and I got to have a conversation with him, and I read his book. It's called Irresistible Revolution. Shane Claiborne is his name, and he's a true representation of what a Christian should be, not the multitudes and millions of people who call themselves Christians because they go to church on Sunday and they pray. Your thoughts and prayers, you can keep them to yourself because they're real. Well, I'll take the thoughts, but you can leave the prayers behind because I just don't think they do much. Okay, I don't want to get too much on the religion thing. I'll talk about that with Josh. But I started thinking about, well, what if I'm wrong? What if there is something else in the afterlife? And I recommended someone close to me in my life read this book, this Irresistible Revolution. And he told me that Shane Claiborne was a tool of the devil. And at that point, it was like a switch went off, and I was like, okay, I know that I've been down the wrong road, and my deconstruction truly began there. And so I started thinking about it. I'm like, I read a lot of other books. I started thinking about it and watching videos of people who have experienced afterlife experiences. They die, what they see, what they saw. And it all just seemed a little weird to me. And so I looked at it from the science angle, started listening to guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson, reading more atheist literature like Sam Harris and the other guy there, Dawkins, and it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. But that fear of death and what comes after it always has followed me, and I know it follows a lot of people, especially people who are involved in the Christian church. I can't speak for other religions because I've never been a part of one of those. But what I want to happen and what I think happens are probably two very different things. I would say there is a moment, like a lot of people say, where your life flashes before your eyes just because everything's shutting off, it's turning down, I think that could be something that happens. But I would say, just like Tony Soprano said, it just all goes black, and it's just like if you're sleeping. Do you remember your life before you were born? I don't. I'm probably glad I don't. Imagine remembering being like a sperm. I don't know, maybe that's cool. I have no idea. So that's what I think happens. What do I want to have happen when the lights go out? And I've had this vision for a long time where I close my eyes in life at the point of death, and I open them, and I'm in a field of flowers, and for the first time in a while, I can smell the spring all around me. I can feel a nice warm breeze on my face. I sit up, and there are birds and animals all around me, and they're not disturbed or bothered by my presence. They're almost welcoming in a way. And as I sit up and I look over this valley, I see this village at the bottom, and I know in that village, that's where all the people I've ever loved are. They're here. And all I got to do is walk down there to go see them. But it's almost like I have a moment where it's like, this is my moment. And I travel and I walk the earth. And people stay away from me because they know that's what I want for the time being. And I get to experience, this aloneness with nature, with the creatures of the forest. And it's just a fulfilling feeling that I have when I think about this. And after I'm done with my time alone, I go down to the village and I reunite with all my family and friends and all the people who I've ever loved. And we just celebrate. We hang out. We play music all day. We create art. We have the finest foods in the world. We smoke the finest weeds in the world. And that's just how eternity goes, just hanging out and maybe exploring the world, whatever this world is. I don't know if it's necessarily Earth or if it's some made-up planet that my mind has created. But, that's what I'd like to see happen. Will that happen? Maybe. I have a friend, Frank, who swears that he believes, and he leans heavily into the Buddhist traditions, that when you die, whatever happens is what you want to have happen. And I think that's a beautiful thing, but I have a hard time wrapping, my hands around something like that. It's so amazing to think that, anything is possible. It's an exciting thing now to me. I'm not looking forward to it. I'd like to live to the ripe old age of, 110 if I'm healthy enough. But if there's something afterwards, I'm hoping it's what I want to have happen and not the other way around. Because I can't imagine non-existence. And I guess it doesn't matter. Like when you're sleeping, it doesn't matter. You're not there. You're not aware. You're not present in the moment. You have dreams sometimes. Maybe death is more like dreams. Maybe it's not leaving something behind, but going back to something that you've forgotten. And that's my thoughts on death, dying, and the afterlife. I don't know. Last night and watching all of these last meals has really inspired me to talk about my experience, my fears, my desire to know. And I'm going to leave you with that today. But I hope you guys like this one. Next video or next few videos, you should see the SG, the Geycen SG. We'll talk about that. I'll give you some stories. And with that, I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. I love you guys to death. If you're loving the content that I'm creating as much as I love creating the content that you guys are watching, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're trying to get to 800 before the end of the year. We're creeping closer and closer every day, but I don't think we're going to make it. Nonetheless, it would make a wonderful Christmas present. So if you know someone who isn't subscribed and would like to, shoot them over here. Just have them hit that little button. Maybe hit the bell. They'll let them know every time I put out a new video. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you a little bit further on down the road.
Don't go to sleep with a catch it in your pocket.